I'm hoping this train to slow down so I can catch it. A ladder. When you climb a car like this, whatever car, it's like a monkey. You have 4 points. You let go of one, you still have 3. So before you let go of this, you have the other 3 attached. Once going across the Great Salt Lake, I rode like this. I got caught in an oil tanker for about 40 minutes long. That means passing through, get out of the way. There's a draft that comes through. You can tell this is a very old railroad site. Wherever you have a water tower like that, it was for the steam engines.
Go ahead.
Every hobo has a moniker. Mine was Doc Bo, and everybody has a totem, and mine was a road mouse. I would leave my road mouse there, an arrow that said Tucson and the date. That way when my neighbor on the rails came by, he would know it was Bo Keeley, and he would know the date I was here and what time I would arrive in Tucson. This was the newspaper. All the water tanks across the America on the railroad gridiron. Sprint for the train, board, and you're on your way. The whole nation opens up to you. I'm trying to catch this train. Another container train. In the front, 1, 2, 3. Island up to the Hobo jungle. This is the old jailhouse. Oh, can you get the knowledge? And then, right here. As a hobo, I've been put in jail only twice. Actually, the LA County Jail, and then in Salt Lake City. I went up to the railroad bull and everything, so I get broken into. Now we're going to continue up to the Hobo jungle by the railroad tracks, which is about 3 blocks up. This is the crossing the railroad tracks at Nyland. We're about just a quarter mile away from downtown Nyland. I'm going left here, east to the Hobo jungle. I'm trying to catch this train. Is coming out of the Long Beach container yard. It went through Colton and San Bernardino. It's the old Southern Pacific line that I used to ride the way through Texas to visit my folks on Christmas, the cold ride in December, and then through Louisiana, the Bayous, and into Jacksonville. Right here, by the way, in Jacksonville, I made it the Seabird Crest, it's called. Up the Atlantic, got off in Newark, New Jersey, under the Lincoln Tunnel into Manhattan, and had dinner with George Soros, a philanthropist, billionaire at the Four Seasons. I'm hoping this train to slow down so I can catch it. Just at the outskirts of Diamond. This is where you wait to catch your freight out of Slab City to any place in the nation. Understand that the railroad lines are like interstates. I've ridden them all west of the Mississippi and many of them east of the Mississippi. 400 rides in all. I quit counting after the number of days in a year. But after my first ride in '83, many Hobo conventions and a Hobo sociology class in Michigan, I became a boxcar tourist and rode all over the place. Out of Nyland, this connects any place you want in America. It's safer than Amtrak. It's faster than Greyhound. The way it works is you wait in the jungle here, and about once every 2 hours a train goes by, a freight as it's properly called. They may be southbound, they may be northbound, and it connects with an interstate of gridiron that can take you to Chicago in 72 hours. In Mother Jones magazine, Tom Dyson wrote an article for Mother Jones called Bo Keeley and His Corporate Executive Hobos. I also caught out to Dallas, and in another article, Renaissance on the Rails, Peter Gorman wrote about how I came out of living in my borough here in the Chocolate Mountains. Here you can be in Texas if it's a container train like that one, which makes it a priority train. It stops only for Amtrak. It goes out on the farm, as it's called, and it pauses only for Amtrak or for military, rare, or for a UPS train. So it's a whisk, it's a breeze. Dallas in 72 hours. Chicago, I made it with Dyson in about 2 days. But we rode constant. I usually carry no kitchen sink, no amenities. I dress like a yard worker. I can put on a pair of bib overalls, walk into a yard, and I've actually been picked up by the crew truck, and because they think I'm a crew worker. He drives me to the units, which are the engines, which are the locomotives, and I climb on board. Rarely the locomotive, but I've ridden a couple dozen of those. In the old days, in the 80s, it was the cabooses, and the cabooses went out of vogue in the early 2000s. So now the ride priorities are on a container train, a piggyback train, which is the semi-trucks, or in a grain car, a gondola, any of a number of types of vehicles. I'm going to sit. Is there enough light?
Yeah, there is.
Okay, don't start yet. Little Nyland jungle hasn't seen a lot of use lately, but you can see some of the remnants. 1,000-mile paper, which is cardboard, plastic in case it rains, rare in the desert. The three things always that make up a Hobo jungle are proximity to the tracks. It's just over my shoulder, 50 steps. You need a source of water. We have the Highline Canal, which is up, I can see it in about a quarter of a mile. And it needs to be remote with some weeds to hide in. So the trains come by here at the rate of 1 every 2 hours, some north, some south. Unfortunately, and at random, only about 1 in 10 stops. So at the rate of maybe 2 per day, 1 north, 1 south, 1 train will stop. That means lickety split. You got to get up, sprint for the train, board, and you're on your way. The whole nation opens up to you. But you go the opposite direction. Then when you get into those big yards, you jump out, climb down the ladder while the train's moving 1 or 2 miles an hour. And there's no problem with the bull. In Mexico, I made way down into central mainland Mexico, boarded the Beast. It's called the Beast because Central Americans by the hundreds, and Mexicans right into the promised land, USA, and the border of California. Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. And I actually have ridden with them many times. It's 100 to 200 people on top of freight trains, a little moving town, people playing cards, entire families, people selling sandwiches, and it's about 2 weeks riding up to the USA. They cross into one of those 4 states, get a job, work at an exorbitant rate. 12 to 15 freights pass here a day. And you don't care where you're going, really. That's not the Hobo philosophy. The philosophy is to get on and watch America move by you. You go past the backyards of rural America. In big cities, you go by on the original rights of way, past the factories. These rights of way were established. The first transcontinental railroad in 1865 after the Civil War, and this Southern Pacific line in, I believe, the 1880s. Very scenic, very historic. Always something going on. The reason I'm not a full-time hobo as a lifestyle is the downtime, which is waiting here. If you want to catch out an island, you had better be prepared with some food, snacks, water, wait for a train to come by, and cross your fingers that it's going to stop. Once or twice a day, one will stop. That is for another priority train to pass, and that's your opportunity to get on. You rush for the tracks, pick a car away from the locomotives where the engineer can't see you, although usually you wave at them. If they wave back nonchalantly, then you're fine. You board, you lay low until you're getting out of town, and then you're off to see the freedom of the open road of America. Another container train. In the front, 1, 2, 3, 5 locomotives. Another unit container train bringing goods in from the Orient. You can see these are called container flank cars. They're down on their springs. He's loaded with all kinds of goodies for Midwest and the East Coast of America. There, the containers will be offloaded to semi-trucks and delivered to various stores. They'll load up with products from the East Coast. They'll go the opposite direction back to San Pedro, Long Beach, or the San Francisco ports, and load up. They get on the ship, and they go over to the Orient. Those are the 3 means of transport: the containers, the trucks that carry the containers, and then back by ship across the Pacific. The various pushers. So we had a mile train go by us, up to 100 cars, and we had 2 pusher locomotives. A very long train. I would anticipate there's going to be 2 more pushers. Once this 2-mile long train hits the hills of Arizona, and then even more so elevation change in New Mexico, we need the pushers. No, this doesn't have pushers at the end, but what it will have is a fucking rear end device. And you can cut it there. Too bad the train didn't stop. There'll be another. At the end of every train, when I rode a lot in the 80s and 90s, there was a Fred, fucking rear end device. That had replaced the cabooses. In other words, when I started riding throughout the 80s, there was a caboose. And the caboose housed the conductor who carried the manifest, which is the string of cars. So you could walk up and, can I get a ride in the crummy, which is a caboose? And you have a car that will be cut off in such and such a town in Atlanta or so forth. And you can board. Usually they're very friendly if you don't slur your words like you're drunk. If you assure them, you can say a couple polysyllable words and assure them that you're not going to steal anything. The other prime ride that I like, being dressed as a crewman or a streamlined hobo, is right in the unit itself. If the unit stops here, you climb aboard as it pauses to change crews, and there's a perimeter walkway around with a little fence. You go in the locomotive cab, and there's a refrigerator. There's a captain's seat with all the controls, kind of the railroad version of the Starship Enterprise. There's a little cubby hole with a bathroom, and there's always a cooler for hot days of iced drinks. And all you have to do is stay low when you go through towns on the locomotive. Get in one of the trailing locomotives, which is not the lead one because that has the engineer and sometimes the front end brakeman, but in one of the trailing locomotives, which would be number 2, 3, 4, or 5. Okay, cool. There's nothing like arriving in a new town with your road dog. As long as you have a roof over your head, you can stay there. That's fine. First thing you do is you find a stream, which is typically by any hobo jungle, and you clean up. The next thing I do is to check my bag into a Greyhound locker. Next, I go to the Goodie or the Sally, the Goodwill or the Salvation Army, and get a new set of clothes like Jack Reacher, who travels only with his toothbrush. And when I travel the rails, that's not much less than what I carry. Once I have new clothes and have cleaned off in the stream, it's off to a fast food place, then usually to a mission, and eat. Sometimes listen to an ear pounding at a mission I've been into. My first freight trip was in 1983, believe it or not, out of Ogden, Utah, just north of Salt Lake City, where they pound the golden spike that connected Central Pacific and Union Pacific railroads. Now they head away from the East Coast to the West Coast, from the Atlantic to the Pacific, and it was ridden by Civil War veterans, by hoboys, which theoretically is where the term hobo came from. Guys who carried hoes or shovels so they could work their way across the country. And they say that piss out a boxcar once, you're hooked, and that was the case with me.
Go ahead.
Every hobo has a moniker. Mine was Doc Bo, and everybody has a totem, and mine was a road mouse. This road mouse was by Tattoo Pete in Denver. It has a smile and a teardrop, the pathos of the rail. 1,800 miles, because the steam trains then ran on water, converted to steam. It drove the pistons, it turned the wheels. And the water tank, every 800 or 100 miles, is where hobos would gather beneath, and they would hobnob, top, and they would communicate with each other. I would leave my road mouse there, an arrow that said Tucson and the date. That way, when my neighbor on the rails came by, he would know it was Bo Keeley, and he would know the date I was here and what time I would arrive in Tucson. This was a newspaper. All the water tanks across the America on the railroad gridiron was a communication grapevine for the early hobos. You can tell this is a very old railroad site. Wherever you have a water tower like that, it was for the steam engines. Go ahead. This is the old produce warehouse. From all over Imperial Valley, brought vegetables and fruit to this holding area. Train tread just 10 yards away on the outskirts of the right-of-way. They'd load up, the train would come by every 1 or 2 days, depending on the season, and it would deliver produce to the rest of America. And I just noticed this beautiful graffiti here. They would cart the vegetables in this main entrance, which reminds me of school classroom. And into the various rooms by type of vegetable or fruit. Near the water tower, I just discovered a string of old cars. I'm going to walk over a quarter mile. We're going to simulate, since we haven't caught a black train, show what's a freight train and the types of rides. Okay. And be sure you get the end car. Are you ready?
Okay.
This is a string of oil tankers near the water tower. The problem is a big ditch, a drainage ditch between us, and having to get to them to demonstrate how to board a freight train. Okay, we'll do this. You're going to come up here. In the world, because all you have is a ladder. When you climb a car like this, whatever car, it's like a monkey. You have 4 points. You let go of one, you still have 3. So before you let go of this, you have the other 3 attached. Once going across the Great Salt Lake, I rode like this. I got caught in an oil tanker for about 40 minutes across the causeway of the Great Salt Lake, riding the oil tanker before I could get off. And once in some awful cold weather. It was a dire situation where I just wanted to get out of town. This is called frisking the drag. This is just pure oil tankers. Okay, you can cut. Okay, get ready. Get a pretty close up. Okay, go. Okay, go. Getting off any freight train on the fly. Just a matter of going to the bottom step. It's going 3 miles an hour or slower. You never leave your pack on. It's moving over my shoulder. I like to go in the direction of travel. Step off. And it's like getting off an escalator. Near the oil tankers is a citrus orchard. It's California's favorite for it. It said that the hobos in California could come and you could pick breakfast from a tree. And that's a hobo breakfast. Okay, this is a California lemon. Squash it, stick it in your boot with some water, and you got lemonade. The 4 types of fruit that I'm familiar with out here are the lemon we just got, oranges, very prolific, and the ruby red orange is my favorite, this size. The 4th is the dates. They keep a close eye on these orchards. They've been harvested, big bundles. The dates grow annually or semi-annually. They bag them up to retain the heat. The dates flourish, and then you go to the Buckshot Deli and have a date milkshake.
Sweet. Thank you, Paul.
Freight hopping is illegal and it's dangerous, but lots of people do things in life that are illegal and dangerous, and they have the most fun. So I can't encourage anybody to go out and hop a freight train. Your first ride, if you choose to do so, should be with a mentor. That's what I did out of Ogden, Utah. If you ride 24 hours with somebody who knows what he's doing and can instruct it well, then you're on your own for the open road of the rail that pretty much unzips the entire country for boxcar tourists. Long, that means passing through, get out of the way. There's a draft that comes through.